The following podcast is brought to you by Iconic Nation Media.
Welcome to In Studio with Kimberly Lovey, where mindset meets motherhood, media meets mogul energy, and every episode feels like a front row seat to the life you're meant to lead. The podcast where ambition meets authenticity and we make success look oh so good, all while having lots of laughs. I'm Kimberly Lovey, wife, mom of three, founder of Iconic Nation Media, and the CEO who's been there, built that, all while chasing toddlers and even making an occasional appearance on the tennis courts. This show is your front row seat to the real talk behind building a brand, raising a family, and becoming the most iconic version of you. We cover business, mindset, motherhood, media, and all the messy moments in between. Every week, I'm joined by visionaries, creators, and changemakers who aren't afraid to share the unfiltered magic behind their come up. This isn't just a podcast. This is your all-access pass to finally play big. Let's play boldly, beautifully, and unapologetically together. So grab your matcha, fix that crown, and get ready to step into the studio. In Studio with Kimberly Lovey, because your next level has been waiting. And it's fabulous. All right, everybody, welcome back to In Studio with me, your host, Kimberly Lovey. Today we get to be intimate and cozy, and it's just us. I know, like the good old days. Today I'm going to give you a little quick life update, and I also want to talk to you about the power of building momentum by taking small steps. So how you build momentum and take small steps to transform your whole life. And before you know it, you're living the life that you've dreamt of. So I'm going to kind of unpack that with you. And this is inspired by my eyelash girl, my queen, Marie. She's going to be on the show at some point, but we just had a really great discussion. And I'm going to share this with you. But first, let's talk a little bit about my personal stuff real quick. Okay, so for those of you that have not yet subscribed on YouTube, please go to YouTube. It's linked on Instagram. And the reason why I am asking you to do that is because I am showing you something that my dear friends Sam and Abby Query got for me, which are these custom Iconic Nation Media little cups. They're branded. How cute are they? So go check us out on YouTube, subscribe, and you can kind of see what I'm showing you. But they surprised me the other day, and I was so shocked. I thought it was so cute. So thank you, Sam and Abby, for those. Okay. I'm about to go meet, speaking of Sam and Abby, I'm about to go with Brian. We are going to London, and we are going to go meet them at Wimbledon, because Sam, for those of you that don't know, is an ex-tennis pro. He was number 11 in the world. Total just badass. He acts like he's not. He is. I found that out the hard way, because I'm always like, oh, you're just my nerdy neighbor. And then everybody else is like, oh, he's like a really big deal. So anyway, they had invited us to come out, and we're going to be going. And originally we were going to be taking Carter and Charlotte and London with us until we took a little family vacay to Phoenix over spring break. And then after 3 days of a wonderful trip with our kids, I looked at Brian and we were like, yeah, we're not bringing our kids because it's just too much. Not that they're bad, but they're kids and they have a lot of needs, and this is a big trip. And also, a little birdie in the back of my mind is reminding me that before my mom passed, we had already been talking about this trip last year. And she said to me to only bring my kids. And I was like, at that time, no, I'm gonna, she said to leave my kids, not to bring my kids, sorry. And I remember being like, no, I'm bringing my kids because Sam and Abby bring their kids. Well, you know what? They're better than us. So how's that? So we're really excited. We are going to be staying in London proper. I'm a little bit nervous because the state of the world is a little bit uneasy. And there is a level 2 alert, which basically, I didn't ever for some reason realize this, but the United States will issue like traveler alerts, and there's like levels 1 through 4. Level 1 being like free to go, travel around, live your best life. Level 4 is like, do not go, do not travel. So we're on level 2 security. So I'm a little bit like, I don't know, a little bit anxious, I guess, especially because we are leaving our kids. And for some reason, I've almost like denied the fact that we're going, but we are going. So anyway, I'm really excited. You guys can check out my Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and you'll see some of our trip there. And as always, I will be reporting back to you on how the trip went and walking you through it and the wins and the fails, as we always do. And by the way, if you guys wanted to hear about the Phoenix trip, it was a great trip. I had podcasted about it a couple episodes ago, and it was a really good kind of like family friendly place to take your kids. Like, it's kind of like bougie enough for me and Brian, but still family friendly, because I feel like that balance is sometimes very out of whack. Like, I'm never staying at Legoland Hotel with primary colors. Like, it's a hard no for me. So, it was a really good hotel and a really great trip and great for families. So if you guys want to check out that episode, go back and listen to that episode, because I kind of walk you through it. And it's just a good tool in your toolkit to like think about your family trips, like which ones are good ones. Okay, what else is happening today? Let's see. We don't have Yvette today. Have you guys liked having her on? I know it's different. Like, you and I are always together, just you and I. But she's always here. So I always just am like, hey, come on, And what else is happening? Let's see. We've got some great Heal to Feel episodes coming on. We are in pre-launch for a bunch of shows. And I am just really appreciating the fact that I've gotten to launch Iconic Nation Media fully, and also just help elevate other people's voices and their dreams and their branding. And it's just been exceptional. The entire experience has been exceptional. And it started with just like a crazy idea. And that's probably a really great segue for us to talk about you. So what I want to talk to you about today is about getting you to where you want to be, because fuck it, we only live once, okay? We only live once. So if you're sitting there dreaming of being or doing something else, I'm here to remind you to get off your ass and go do it. Okay. And I say that with so much love and joy, because you deserve it. So, what I really think is not talked about enough is the small, quiet, unsexy steps. And I love talking about this shit. And the reason is because I don't feel like there's enough attention on people that are successful and what it really took to get there, which is why so much of my content is around confidence, mindset, business, all this stuff, is because all we see is the scrolling Instagram famous and their Rolls Royce and their private jet. And it's like, you've missed the entire part that was hard. And actually, to me, the part that's the most relatable and the part that's the most inspiring. So hopefully through more of my content, we're going to be meeting with all different incredible people. But I think that there's a lot of people out there that are hoping and wishing and dreaming for something, and yet they're not taking action on it. There's no execution. So sitting back in your job being like, I can't stand my boss. I can't stand this job. Oh, but I need it for the paycheck. Like, I'm calling you out. You are called out with love, as always, but I'm also going to give you a little swift kick in the behind, because maybe no one else cares to tell you. But when I see people that are just settling, I am not about that life at all. Like, really, it just goes by like that. And I just think that there's so much power in something that no one talks about. And I think this is actually the key, the number one key to success, which is to, once you have a vision or a gut feeling of something you really want to be doing, you pick up the phone and you make the first phone call. You make the very first step. And there's that saying that's like, you don't have to see the staircase, you just have to see the next step, like that, all that trite stuff. I mean, it's true. So like Marie, my eyelash girl, she just told me when I was getting my lashes done for London, she was like, well, I remember one of my friends, she basically decided to go right from undergrad to her master's. And she told me that I should also sign up, because I was telling her I wanted to, get my master's. And what happened was 2 years later, I was still doing lashes, hadn't made the phone call to the school because I had a bad experience at school and had a little bit of a block there. And she looked at me and said, just call the school now. Like, because what happened was 2 years later, her friend came back and is like, I'm about to finish my master's. And then Marie was like, wait, what? Like, you just started. She's like, yeah, that was 2 years ago, Marie. Like, you need to pick up the phone. Like, go do it. So she said, Marie said her friend left that night or that day. And she called. She said, I immediately called. Within 10 minutes, I was enrolled. And she's been on this journey to get her master's in psychology. So it just reminded me that, and we were kind of talking about that, you know, we have all these like built up emotions about taking that next step. And the reality is it's not that hard. It's never as hard as we build it up to be. And even if it is really freaking hard, like, welcome to being a leader. Leaders create solutions, right? And we were talking about that too. But, you know, now she's on this journey of really achieving her dreams and she's working her ass off. But we were talking about like, it's all about the small steps consistently every day, which is like for her, I'm like telling her, I'm like, yeah, maybe today you have to turn in a homework assignment or you have to take a quiz or whatever the thing is for your school while you're also doing your main hustle right now, which is like your lashes. And it's so true. Like every single day I show up for myself, big and small. And it's so unsexy, and yet it's the most transformative thing to do, which is those small, bite-sized, and often very easy steps. And a lot of times when we're getting into our head about it, we have to just simply regroup and be like, this feels overwhelming, but making the phone call is actually not hard. It might be a little irritating. It might not be super fun. It might be unsexy, but it has to be done. And that truly is the secret sauce, is like just somebody that is relentlessly and consistently going for what it is they want. And I will tell you, as I look around, like I observe so many of my friends that are so successful and they don't sit in stuck energy. They don't like sit around being like, cool, I built my $1 billion business and now I'm going to do nothing. None of them do that. Even my friends that have literally built and sold companies for hundreds of millions of dollars, chances are they are still working. They're still creating a new business. They have a new hustle. They have a new investment. They're learning something different. They're traveling. They're doing stuff that is like, you know, it's a vibe. It's an energy. Like they're never the people sitting there stuck, sitting back being like, I made it. I'm hoping and wishing that, you know, ABC things happen to me. Or they don't sit around talking about they wish. They're doing. It's in motion. And I think that when you take, what happens is like the best thing that I can kind of like help illustrate the idea is I imagine like rolling a big boulder up the hill. And at first you're like, ugh, like trying to push it up the hill. And it's like almost impossible. And you're like, you want to quit because you're sweating and it's so hard. And you're like, I can't even move this fucking thing. And you're like pushing again. You're like, okay, every day I got push. And then it doesn't go anywhere. And you're like, okay, I am not giving up. And then all of a sudden, your third, fourth, fifth time, you push the boulder and it finally starts rolling. And at first, what happens? It's slow. It slowly starts to move. And you're like, that was so hard. But you have to keep pushing it. And what happens is every day you show up, you keep pushing it, push it. What happens is over a period of maybe even just a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the momentum comes. It starts to take on its own energy and momentum. And that momentum is so key. And it's all about where your mind goes, energy flows, and that's what it is. It's like if you are so determined to get from point A to point B, every single day you take those small, unsexy steps. Like, for example, for my studio, I had to get internet up. Like, I don't want to fucking figure out which internet to get either. Okay. I want to go get my nails done. I want to go play tennis. I want to go kiss my babies. Like, you know, I want to go on a date with my husband, but it's not an excuse. Like, I need to get it done so that my studio can function because that's the most important thing. So I just pick up the phone, you know, I figure out who should I be calling? Is it Spectrum? Is it DirecTV? Like, who is it? Or whatever the different options are. Like, like, this isn't my area of expertise. This is also not my fun zone, but I do it anyway. And I just get it done. And yeah, maybe you are sitting on the phone for an hour waiting or 30 minutes. Chances are it's not going to be as bad as you think or build up. But at the end of the day, it got done, didn't it? So it's always pushing yourself. This morning, I had to send a very important email, and it was giving the whole that feeling of like, I don't want to send this, I didn't want to pick up the project. I didn't want to start the conversation again. Not for any major reason. Just, it felt like I just didn't want to, I just didn't want to, but it had to be done. So I did it. I sat my ass down in my kitchen, busted out my laptop. It literally took me 30 seconds to send the email. It's going to be the difference between a massive guest coming on one of my shows or not. And that guest is already interested. It's just a matter of logistics. I just didn't feel like doing it. I did it anyway. I didn't sit around talking about it. I just grabbed my laptop, bulldozed through it, the end. I actually think, and I've said this before, that especially if you have kids, it actually makes you more efficient, not less efficient. And the reason is because you don't have that luxury, dare I say, of wasting time. You really don't. When you have kids, you are booked minute to minute. Your kids need you by a certain time. You only have a short period of time to get your work done. And it makes you more efficient because you don't have that time to sit back and scroll and then think about it. And then, watch something on TV and then scroll on the internet and then scroll and then, do nothing. You don't have that luxury. You have to go. And why I think that's such a blessing is actually because, again, going directly back to the momentum, which is it puts you in a state of motion all the time. It's for me, it's get up, get the kids out of the house, get them dressed, get them fed, send them off to school, drop them off. Then I have to go to my studio, make an appointment, make sure my team is there, make sure we're email. It's motion, 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 motion. None of those steps are actually that fun. Honestly, they're not. Fighting to get my baby dressed in the morning is not a fun experience. It's just not. That's probably why I've relegated to letting her wear whatever the fuck she wants to preschool, because I don't actually care. And I'm good, that's 3 steps less, one less fight. So if my children look homeless, that's why. I'm tired. So, there is some of that where I'm, maybe not giving it 100% every single step of the way, but I get it done. Right? I get it done, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm telling you I'm not perfect, and I'm still getting it done. So that's what I'm telling you, is that it isn't picture perfect. It isn't always fun and sexy, but we got to get it done. At the end of the day, as my dad would say, you're only kidding yourself. Right? So by not doing it and making excuses, oh, well, I'm so busy. I have kids. Oh, the kids have camp. I got to drop them off. Oh, I got to go get my nails. Excuse. The reality is that your small little baby steps actually don't take that much time for the most part. They're not that hard for the most part. It's just they're not that fun. That's the whole thing, is that it's not necessarily an enjoyable thing. For those of you that like that dopamine hit, what you can also do is just simply, I used to do this all the time. Now I feel like I'm running so fast I don't do it as much, but I used to always have on my phone or on a piece of paper, Kimberly to do. And it would be the micro details, pick up dry cleaning, go get milk at the supermarket. It was all the dumb shit I had to get done that I would be just not wanting to do. And then I'd be okay, I gotta, it would help me to check everything off. And okay, I did, in 1 hour, I checked off 5 things. I sent the email, I picked up milk, I dropped off the dry cleaning, I took London to school, and whatever, I brushed my hair, whatever the things are, right? So, there's ways to keep yourself in motion and accountable by coming up with systems that work specifically for you and the way your brain works. But for me, I will tell you, when I feel oh my God, I have to do something, and I make it, when I look at it in totality is when my brain shuts down. And I've learned through studying some neuroscience is that that's very normal. Your brain, if it cannot take tactical, practical, clear action, step 1 or going from point A to point B, if it's just too broad of an idea, you'll end up doing nothing. I'm sure we can all think of examples of this. For example, I need to lose 20 pounds. What happens? You don't lose shit, girl. No, you don't. Because you came up with no bite-sized pieces. All you know is that you feel fat. Okay? And by the way, I hate that word. I think it's a shit word. In fact, it's a word that's not allowed in my house. That's how bad it, to me, it is actually a bad word. But if you're saying, I need to lose 20 pounds, what I'd like to encourage you to do is, I want you to use the phrase, and I'm going to do it by blank. And I'm going to do it by signing up for a personal trainer and going twice a week. So going really specific, right? So when you catch yourself in these moments of, I need to lose 20 pounds. I hate my job. There's no action to be taken. Okay, you hate your job. Let's break that down, right? Let's break it all down. You hate your job. Doesn't matter why. Maybe you're not paid enough. Maybe your boss is an asshole. You can't stand your coworkers. You're bored. There's no trajectory for growth, or they're pushing you too hard. There's too much travel. You don't like the city you're in, etc., 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 right? We all have reasons why we would hate our job. Okay, fine. So what? So what? Step 1, update your resume. That's very tactical. Okay, update it. If you can't find it, if you can't figure out how to do that, find a template. Okay, then update it. Okay, that's one of the least fun exercises ever. But at the same time, you can sit there and bullshit about yourself for an hour. And remember, for a resume, hot tip, every bullet should have a verb at the beginning of something you did. Okay? I've done 1,000 resumes. I've done so much mentoring at USC Business School, Marshall School Business. Shout out USC. Trojans, fight on. That is my alma mater for business school. And I've also done mentoring at UCLA at the MBA level. So I've done all the resume things. If you guys have questions about resumes, DM me. I'm happy to send you a template, give you a couple tips. I've done this till I'm blue in the face. So step 1, update your resume and tailor it. The next step is, and maybe it's really the first step, is the dreaming exercise. We've talked about this in the past, and if you're new to the show, I have a whole methodology about the way we transform our lives. I actually have taught a course on this, but the number one thing is sit back, take a beat, get yourself out of the energy of your coworkers or your boss or whatever's kind of in your mind, reset your mind, have a nice quiet time, whether you're driving in the car, whether you're on a walk, you're at the gym, you're having a hot cup of coffee in the morning, whatever it is, get yourself when you have peace of mind and start really thinking through well, what would be exciting? What would be exciting for me to say that I'm doing? And it might be a complete pivot in your career, or it might be literally in the same industry. And it's just a different, maybe it's going from Coke to Pepsi. It's maybe you work at Warner Brothers, you want to work at Fox. Or maybe you just want that next role change to a different title, right? So get clear on what it is you want, because if you don't have that, you have no ability to navigate in the right direction. It's literally impossible to go anywhere. So really the first step before the resume, right, is get clear on what excites you. What sounds exciting? For me, it was a complete career switch. I was in finance and strategy and operations for 20 years, okay? I'm now in media. Not at all the same. I have no experience with media. I mean, I did work at Warner Brothers, but it was in international finance, right? And it was in M&A. So what I have done in terms of a pivot is, chances are, far greater than what it is that you're dreaming of, or at least equal. So maybe you're a lash artist and you want to become a psychologist. Great. The first step. What is the first step? 1, knowing I want to be a psychologist. Step 2, pick up the phone and enroll yourself in school and figure out what that looks like for 10 minutes. That's it. That's literally your steps. Step 3, show up the first day, read the rubric, buy the books, make sure you're plugged into all the online portals that you need, right? Just get yourself prepared to start. Step 4, start, right? So it's none of that stuff sounds exciting or inviting to me. If we want to talk about caviar, champagne, and shopping, that sounds far more sexy to me as well. Believe me, your girl likes the good life. But your fulfillment's going to come from your hard work. And we've talked about this before, but I'm just going to state it again. Self-confidence, as Ed Milet says, it comes from making and keeping promises to yourself. Whether that is, I'm going to get up earlier today, I'm going to work out for 30 minutes today, I'm going to update my resume today, whatever the promise is on that to-do list for yourself, you fucking keep it at all costs. Do you understand? At all costs. You do it anyway. If it sucks, you do it anyway. Okay? And here's the thing. I know this is a little bit of tough love, but I will tell you that once you get on the other side and you start putting in that hard work and really going after your dreams, maybe it's not your career, maybe it's your relationship, maybe it's where you live, maybe it's a friendship you hate, like you need to end it, it's toxic, you need to reset your friendships, whatever the thing is that you want to work on. What happens is when you build this confidence and you take the small steps, you are really inviting joy on the other side. It's fucking amazing. Look at me. I have my iconic nation. Okay. If I can do this, you can do this. All right. If you're willing to put in the hard work and keep the promises every single day consistently and doing the unsexy steps every day, I promise you, call me in a year, your whole life is different. And it's probably going to happen even sooner than that. Like, I'm wearing my iconic nation hat. I'm on a professionally designed set. I have, hundreds of thousands of dollars of lighting. I have a producer, by the way, shout out Chafee. If I can do this and make my wild, crazy dreams come true, despite having 3 kids, despite having a dead mom that was my best friend, my soulmate, die in my arms, okay, less than 9 months ago. If I can do this, you can do this, okay? That is what I'm here to tell you. And you're going to be filled with so much fulfillment and joy. Like, I can't even begin to explain the level of confidence. Like, so many of you are like, oh, the way you talk, you're just like, you're so authentic. You're so real. You're so confident. Where does that come from? I'm like, one, it's because I'm living my life for myself. And yes, for my family, of course. But I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to reach for my dreams. I'm not afraid to work my ass off, and nobody is going to outwork me. I assure you, there's not a single person on this planet that will outwork me. That is how confident I am in myself. I will not let myself fail, period. I walked away from a very big job to essentially pay to go to work. That's what I just did, like a psychopath. Very few people out there would do that because it's not the easy way. It's actually probably the hardest way. It's the hardest, most difficult thing that I just did. So for me to sit here and tell you that I am living my dream with you, I want you to have it with me in your own way, of course, right? Like, I'm not here to be like, look at how fabulous I am. That's not the vibe. That's not helpful, right? That's not helpful to you. Like, maybe that makes you feel like shit. That's not the vibe. The vibe is, I want your confidence high. I want you in your flow state. I want you taking the small, unsexy steps towards your goal and to have a different version of yourself in a year. I want you to have the best relationships. I want you to have the job that lights you up. Like, for me, I work 7 days a week. If Yvette was here, she'd say, like, I'm in my studio literally 7 days a week. Sometimes at 6 a.m, sometimes at 10 at night. It just depends on what's going on. But I'm passionate, right? I'm passionate. I get up stoked every day. Like, I literally can't sleep in because I get up so early because I'm so excited to start my day, because that's how excited I am about my life. I don't have a case of the Mondays. My Sunday, my Monday, my Tuesday, they all look the same to me. Like, I get to go to work. I get to see my family. It is joyful. There is nothing better than building the life of your dreams, and you're worth it. That's the thing, and sitting back being afraid of what other people think. Can I tell you something? In the wise words of the old Gary Vee, nobody gives a shit about you. Okay? That's the truth. That was one of the most sobering, interesting, shocking parts of stepping into the media, so to speak, which I remember being in my corporate job being like, I could never go on video. I could never have a public Instagram. Like, I would never, I would die. Like, it would be so embarrassing. And then when I finally started to give myself permission and stop putting up those blocks and like admitting that, no, wait, I do want a podcast, and like really started engaging in my dream and like just going for it, you know, it was tough. Like my mind was not, I wasn't fully convinced that I was okay to be doing that. I just wasn't confident yet. I don't know. I had a mental block about it. But what I realized that was so shocking is I thought, oh my God, everyone's going to be talking about me. Like, oh my God, they're going to be judging me, blah, blah, blah. Can I tell you, you are a dime a dozen, honey. Okay. Same with me. I am no different. Okay. All of us, there's competing content for attention all the time. So what was so shocking was this stark realization, sobering realization that not only do people not care, like not only do they not care, which I was so concerned about what they were saying, not only do they not care, they don't see your content 90% of the time. They don't think about you 90% of the time. And you're competing for their attention. So you actually have to promote yourself. You have to put yourself in every platform, in every situation, just to get eyeballs on you. So this notion of being afraid of what they think is really bullshit. And I don't hear people talking about this. The algorithm doesn't even work that way if we're talking about public content, right? Like most of your content is not seen, right? Even for podcasting, only 10% of your total audience listens on every given episode. And that is not a me specific. That is an industry data point. You know, you might have 100,000 listeners, only 10,000, 10% are going to actually consume each individual episode. And then they kind of circle back. Why is that? Because maybe tomorrow they want to listen to a sports podcast, right? Like their mood changes. Maybe they don't want motivation. Maybe they want, you know, celeb gossip for the day or whatever. And they circle back around. But the point is like, I see so many people sitting stuck, going back to the beginning, and just to wrap this up, stuck in this fearful energy of wishing and hoping for something and scrolling on their phones and living this miserable life. And again, maybe it's their career, maybe it's their relationship, maybe it's a friendship, maybe it's their city, whatever the it thing is that they're stuck in. Maybe it's a combination of a bunch of that stuff. It's all normal. The difference is, are you willing to take the quote unquote hard steps, which actually aren't hard. They're actually not hard. It's just fabricated in your mind is hard. But are you willing to fight to become the truly best, happiest version of yourself? Because I promise you, when you are like how I feel right now, which is lit up, I am so jazzed. I'm so energized by my business. I am skipping into work every day. Like there's nothing better. I am 100% fulfilled, truly. I don't have that feeling of a boss breathing down my neck. I don't have any negative vibes. And if I do, I remove it, whether it's an employee, whether it's somebody I'm collabing with, whether it's a client. If it doesn't feel good, I just simply separate, part ways as friends, right? And we've talked about that too. So what are you really afraid of? Or are you just being lazy? You know, like, isn't that, it sounds mean, it sounds ruthless, but I'm saying the hard truth. I'm saying this because I believe you're worth it. And I believe that if you have a dream that you haven't executed on, you are doing yourself and the world a major disservice. There's a reason why you have a spark. There is a reason you have a dream. God put that inside of you. Like, if you can dream it, you can do it, right? That whole saying. So I hope today is something that helps you kind of regroup and maybe think a little bit differently, and also remind yourself of your power. You are in 100% control in every situation. You are always going to be the one in control of your own emotions and the way you choose to react. Nobody can take control of your mind unless you let them. Absolutely nobody. And that requires an enormous amount of self-confidence. And like I said, it comes from keeping the promises you make to yourself. So with that, I hope this was inspiring, maybe a little sobering. I will keep you guys posted on our London trip because I'm a little bit intimidated, to be totally honest. I'm just a little bit anxious, like I shared at the beginning. But I'm going to do it anyway because I'm staying in motion. So I hope this was a helpful episode for you guys. I hope that it is inspiring and a great reminder of what you're capable of. And please comment on Apple Podcast and follow us on YouTube. You can watch me there. And thank you for listening and thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.
All right, that is it for today. Thank you very much for listening, and be sure to follow us at Iconic Nation Media and send us a direct message and comment on some of our posts so that we can hear your feedback and incorporate them into our show. We appreciate you listening, and we look forward to catching you next week.